All right, welcome to DocentEDU 101. We're going to be going over how to use DocentEDU for close reading, formative assessment, essentially just turning the whole internet into one big interactive lesson for you and your students. And also, as a bonus, how to kill those worksheets and textbooks finally. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the Q&A part over there, and then I'll get to those. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So we can get started here. So if you have not already, head to docentedu.com. And the way that it works is it's a browser extension and mobile app. So if you have iPads, an iOS device or Android device, we've got apps for those. And if you use Chrome or Firefox, we have extensions. So really, I mean, if your students are using Chromebooks or iPads, DocentEDU is going to really transform the way that you are creating your lessons and delivering them online, as well as your students interacting with the text. So you go through and you sign up with the browser extension, and we're just going to go ahead and get started on a lesson just from this. We're just going to get going here. All right, so to start off for our first lesson, I'm going to show you how this works. So I've already installed the extension, and I've got it up here in the toolbar. So I'm going to click on that, and as I'm looking through this text, here's the big dream. This is so CK12 is a free open source textbook that anybody can access and use. And even though they let you modify some of the things, and they've got some questions down here at the very end of the text, this is a very traditional way of teaching, because this is kind of how we taught as teachers way back in the day when when it was just paper textbooks. And wouldn't it be great if you could instead simply take this question? So it asks you to define probability and apply a term to a coin toss. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to go back up to where it talks about probability. So up here, all right, so here we go. So they talk about probability and they apply it to a coin toss. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could just add that question right there? So I'm going to click, so I've loaded in the DocentEDU toolbar here. I'm going to click this question icon, head over here. I'm going to click on that paragraph, and I'm just going to paste that text, that question that they had there, and boom, there it is. So literally now what this means is that students can actually answer the question right there on the page. They're not going to a separate worksheet or anything like that. And what's great too is that this is grabbing their understanding of the content right there. Now, if I want to turn this into a multiple choice question, so maybe I wanted to add in a follow-up question here of probability inheritance. How are they similar? I had a question, but if I want to turn this into a multiple choice question, I, as the teacher, just start typing in the response questions here, because we had real reasons, and then you as a teacher, you just select the one that's correct, and when students go there, they're going to see the different options, and they'll click on, and as they click on it, it'll tell them if it's wrong, but not give them the right answer, and they'll keep going until they get it right. And I'm going to show you what that looks like later on the grading side, but the students get instant feedback and it's auto-graded for them. All right, so we're going to keep going now and check out some of these other tools. So as we're going through, right, so this one talked about probability, and even though it gives a definition of probability, I want students to have a specific definition. So I'm going to highlight that term, probability, and I'm going to add a note. And just add in that note. I can even add in emojis if I want to. So let's see here. Are there dice in here? Come on, emojis. All right, I would keep searching. I'd look for like a dice one or something like that. And I'm just going to click OK. And now students are going to see any of the highlights that I've added into the text. And then they can also click on those highlights. Any highlight that has a note has a little box around it. And students click on it, and they can see that note that you've added in there for them. All right, so the other thing that we're going to add in, so as we're going through, so we've already added in a short answer question and a multiple choice one and a note. I mean, this alone, you're ready to go with your students. You don't have to add more with DocentEDU. Start off by just keeping it simple. But you know what, we're going to go ahead and throw in a video here that talks about probability. So I'm going to jump over to YouTube. And I want to embed a video that talks about probability and right, probability, explain, sure. Well, Khan Academy is a pretty long one. Let's go with a real short one here. Probability. Okay, this one sounds funny. So we're just going to go with that one. I'd probably want to check this one first, but it's from the Vlog Brothers, so I think it's gonna be good. So I'm gonna copy. So really, to embed this YouTube video, I'm just gonna copy that link. I'm gonna head back over to my text, and I'm gonna give some instructions here. There we go. My instructions are in there. I'm going to paste that link to the YouTube video. Students are now literally going to just simply watch this video. They can watch that video right there. And I'm going to add in a follow-up question from the video. And I'm going to create that. And you know what? At this point now, I want students to start kind of sharing ideas. So I'm going to add in a discussion. And discussions work very similar to how questions work. And just that I'm creating it when have you so something of where they're gonna have an opinion or an experience to tell. And so the difference between a question and a discussion is that students are able to see each other's responses when they're in the class. And this is private to just the class. And so you as a teacher can even start adding things. And these are going to update in real time for all of the students. Okay, so we've already added in. I mean, so really we've gone through, we've added a bunch of stuff. And if we wanted to, I can just simply jump down. So we're talking about like the SAMR model of using technology of like substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. I mean, we could go through and like create a really awesome lesson from this and add in a lot of interactive stuff to it and discussions so students are kind of sharing things. Or you can just simply jump down here and then just add in questions here. And what this is great for is that this is going to save you and students time. Instead of having some separate like worksheet or thing like that you have to like open up, students are answering the questions just right there in the text. And this is going to make your life a lot easier and your students' lives a lot easier. And that means that's going to give you more time to work with students one-on-one. So we are now ready to go ahead and assign our lesson. So we click on the DocentEDU logo right there, and you select your class. Now, if you have Google Classroom, you'll see down here at the bottom, this share to Google Classroom. Now, I don't have Classroom connected with this one, but this will let me then assign directly to there. And it's that simple. Now, if you ever get stuck when you're creating a docent, click on this little star button, and this you'll see in the app as well. And this is the feedback/question tool. And right there, that's me. You will then be able to chat with myself or Ben or Karen, and just shoot us any question that you have. You run into any kind of problems, you got some feedback for us, just go ahead and type it in right there and it'll send us a direct message and we can get back to you. So this is DocentEDU in a nutshell. And this, you can do this on almost any website and Google Doc. Now, the one thing we haven't looked at yet is the dashboard. So to go to the dashboard, what you do is you can open up a new tab and click the extension, or just click right there. And the dashboard is where you have all of your docents. And the docents is that thing that we just created, that layer that goes on top of the website. So you have your docents, your classes, your grades, as well as a help section. So kind of helping you do things. We've got them broken up by different things you do. So like your first lesson, how you create a docent, your classes, connecting with apps, grading, etc. And there's also a little question tool here. So if you do get stuck, hey, like just send us a question right there. But I want to go through and show you what this looks like also from the student perspective. So I'm going to go to a docent that I've pre-made. So this one is on Tweet and Tribune. It's a free, it's another free source for text. It's made by the Smithsonian, and they've got a lot of great articles at different reading levels that you can use. And so I've gone through and I've already created a docent on this. So this is the one that I created. And I've got this assigned to my AP Bio 1 class, as well as my T3 Environmental Science class. So I'm now going to switch over. So the way this works is, so let's say so I'm getting ready for my class. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head back over to my dashboard, and I'm going to go down to my classes, and I assigned it to my T3 Environmental Science. You probably won't have this many classes on here, but so this is the one that I want everybody to be into. And so what you can do is, if you have, when you create classes, you can import your Google Classroom roster, or you give them this code. So if you have 120 students, you are not enrolling 120 students. You just simply give them this simple little code. If you have got a projector in your room, just pop this up on the board and you will have everybody signed up for your class in less than 2 minutes. It's pretty awesome. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this code, and I'm now going to switch over to our other screen here. And this is now what it looks like for students. So for students, they do the same thing of they need the browser extension or mobile app. So I would just tell them to, right, so from those instructions, they go to docentedu.com/signup. They select sign up as a student. They sign in with Google. Everything is done with Google sign-in. So you don't have a separate password or anything like that to remember. They just simply enter in that code. They click enroll. I happen to already be in that class. They'll be prompted to install the extension. Yes, I want to add the extension. And there it is. Now at this point, you can have students navigate through their dashboard. That they also have their own dashboard. It looks very similar to yours. So the list of docents, because students can also create their own. And they'll see the ones that have been assigned to them. So I can go to my T3 environmental science class. They can also, the way that I often do this is I would assign it through Classroom. So students don't even have to go to the dashboard. You can just assign the links the same way you normally would. But I want them to go to this 8.8 million tons of plastic in the oceans. So I'm just going to click on that one. And you'll notice now when I click on that, this is on tweentribune.com. And then we add in /#DocentEDU, so it auto loads. And you'll notice this looks almost exactly like what it did for us as the teacher. So going back up to the top, I can now type in my answer, and you'll notice that little, I'm going to type again here, that little load saving thing. That means these responses are auto saving in real time. So there's no separate save button. And as students are going through, so right, because again, now this is what it looks like for a student. I can see that highlight the teacher have added. This one I already went through and did multiple choice response. I can't click other ones. So my first response is 372, and then I got the correct one there, and my score automatically changed. I can see the note that the teacher added. I can see now the responses that my classmates added on there. As I'm going through, I can keep typing these. As I'm reading through, I'll be able to type on those, and I can see the other things that the teacher has added in. So here's an Edpuzzle that was embedded instead of just a plain YouTube video. So Edpuzzle is great because you can then crop down those crop videos very easily using their tool, and embed questions in there. And so the information between Edpuzzle and DocentEDU, those responses don't sync up. But the way that I use them as a teacher is more of like little checks to help guide my students as they're going along. So I'm going to go ahead and pause that. And then I followed it up with like 2 questions that I actually wanted students now to think a little bit more deeply about after they had finished watching that video, and then a discussion after that. So I'm going to show you though too of what this looks like. So I'm going to move this one over here to the side, and we're going to bring back up that other screen. And I'm going to show you what this looks like now from the grading perspective, right? Because we have our student on the right-hand side, and students, so I as the student, I can also go through and I can highlight things. So I can, so now this is where a close reading comes into play of, so now I can add in my own note. And so for me as a teacher, what's really cool is now I'm going to be viewing these responses. So this was my environmental science T3. So to view those responses, you go to your grades, and then you select which class, which docent you want to assess. And once you've done that, it instantly then pops up the responses here. So this one right here, this imagine why China, Indonesia. So I'm going to select that one. And now what it's going to do is it's going to show me the students' names on the left-hand side, and then the responses right there. And let's see. So this is actually my name right there. So I'm test user. I think they And so what's going to happen is that then those responses are going to be updating on here as well. So as I'm going through, did I get the right question? Yeah, I am test user, right? We'll come back. We'll check on that later on. But so then as the teacher, you can go through and you can tab through and then enter in scores for the different students as they're going along. And the score stays blank until you've assigned something on there. But I'm going to jump up to this multiple choice one. So how many elephants. And so this is multiple choice one. And what I'm really excited about, so I taught high school science for about 8 years. What's really exciting is that I want it, multiple choice can be used as kind of this like dummy question where it's like like bubble choice. But what you want to know is multiple choice questions, they can offer a lot more. And that's what we did with DocentEDU, of that it collects what order students guessed or put in incorrect, they selected the incorrect response. So here, Ariana, I can see that she selected 372, then 12,000, then 676,000. And the whole reason I put in that question was because it's referring back to this 8.8 million tons of plastic. And that's a huge number that people just aren't good at understanding and quantifying. So that's why I put it into a different type of unit of how many elephants do you think that is? And this turned out to be a great thing because Ariana's understanding of how much garbage that actually is was way off. So her understanding was much lower. So maybe the importance of what this article is actually about, I mean, isn't that big of an impact of if it's 372 elephants, that's not that many when you're comparing it to over 500,000 elephants. So this turned out to be a really good question of where Ariana now gets instant feedback and of what the correct answer is. And then I, as a teacher, I'm looking at my dashboard and I'm seeing what they've got selected on there. And so I can go through and I'm seeing all these on there. So then here again, I can see for test user, right? So first I selected 372 and then 676, and that's what it shows me. And then it auto grades it as well. So it's pretty great. Now, one of the other things that I can do as well is you can view those student annotations. So let's see here. All right, so we've got that. So for that one, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you now of how you can view other students' responses, or their highlights on there. So for that one, we're going to be looking at, now instead of Tween Tribune, this is a Google Doc. So this Google Doc is titled 10 Rare Animals with Bizarre Adaptations. And for this one, all right, so we're going to do 10. Right. This one to. Oh, it's a different class. All right. Well, so no, it's perfect. So this is, I assigned that one to a different class that I'm not in right now. So I'm actually now going to go and sign up for that class as a student. This is a really good way of creating your own kind of like digital collections. Dare I say even like book type thing. So you can create, so instead of just a class, you can create these things by collections to make a like an online book. So I'm going to head back over here and I'm going to go to that class that was my term 4 class, and that was the code. So as a student, I head over to my class, I just enter that code. There it is. So now it's popped up. I've enrolled in that class. I can go over here, and so it's animal adaptations. And again, the way that I typically end up assigning things is using whatever LMS that my school is using. That's what I just simply use is I just simply copy and paste that link in the LMS the same way that I would any other link that I want students to go to. But now instead of having to go to other places to watch videos, it's all in one spot. So this is what's going to be the really cool thing is I've got both windows open because I want you to see as I'm going through and highlighting things. So this is the teacher view, and this is the student view on the right-hand side. And so I can see now, as a student, the instructions the teacher has left of highlight the adaptation and benefit for each animal and highlight one question that you have. So down here, I'm going to select my highlighting tool. And so this is the wolf's name. And let's see here. It's distinctive long legs. All right, so we're going to select that. Now, what this looks like as the teacher is, right, because for this one, I didn't add in a lot of questions. I wanted students to be reading the text and highlighting these things and asking questions as they go through. But as a teacher, I want to know, what are they highlighting? So that's where once students have highlighted content or highlighting the text, this little bubble pops up at the top, and you click on that, and you now go through and you select that student. So I think I got to reload this page because I just signed up as a student. Or I just enrolled in class. All right, there we go. All right, so now I'm going to select that again, and we're going to go down to test user, and there it is. So this is now, right, this is what I just highlighted. So What's really cool is that, right, so if this is, so as a teacher, I can view this on my iPad, my phone, my Chromebook, whatever it is. I'm walking around the room. And so as the students, they're going through and they're highlighting these things. And so one of the other adaptations here is their ears. And where was that on here? Their ears are also adapted to grasslands, allowing people to, let's see, why isn't it updating right now? It should. Let me go back here. All right, well, I'll figure that out. So the highlights will update in real time. So now you're able to see then the students' annotations as they're going along, and students can also add in their own sticky notes, so they can add in YouTube videos or other information into here as they're going along and ask their own questions and writing their own thoughts on this as they're going through. All right, so we're going to jump back to the teacher side now, just what it looks like for the teachers. So this is with a Google Doc, and to show you what this kind of looks like, I'm going to go to a different one here. We're going to do that one. So DocentEDU works on a variety of different sites. So CommonLit is one of its free digital collection of fiction and nonfiction. So you can go through, you select the content that you want. We've got a webinar that's all about content, but basically it's you find the website, the content that you want to use. And once you've found that content, you just simply click on the extension, or if you're using the app, it's going to load in, and then you just start creating your docent on there. And that's going to work, right? So it's like for things that are focused on education, as well as ones that aren't focused on education. So here we are on the Washington Post, and this is on the actual Washington Post. And so if we want to use it with this news article, I click the extension and just start docenting this. And I mean, true story. I mean, I've literally had times of where I'm driving into school in the morning and I'm listening to the radio and there's just some really cool news story. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that fits perfectly with what we are learning about. And I'll get to school and I'll basically just scrap that day's lesson and I jump on the computer, create a docent real quick based off of that news article about that topic, and we're just ready to go. So now I can just go on there and click and boom. So now I've got the questions that are embedded in there. And even other sites then of, so we used CK12 before, but you could then also do that with textbooks. So with this, OpenStax is a free open source textbook. And this is at the college level more. And let's see. But what's nice is that because you are easily modifying how this text is looking to the students. So we're going to do the contents here. But this is an entire like college level biology textbook created by college professors. And we can load in DocentEDU. And now use this right there on the text. So you can go through and you can start modifying these things. You can embed your YouTube videos, a whole variety of other different things that are on there. Now, for the last thing I'm going to show you is working with PDFs and Google Docs. So let's see. Yes, we're going to go with that one. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab a PDF here. So I'm going to download this one. This is for if I'm going to be using it with Google Docs. So I'm going to head over to Google Drive. And I'm going to upload that PDF. And so this is the PDF. All right, so PDFs are good in that they always look the same, but that's a real bummer when you want to modify it with something great like DocentEDU. So what we do is I'm going to go ahead and just close this one. And I'm going to find that in my drive. And I'm going to open this with Google Docs. And this will then convert that PDF to a Google Doc that I can now use with DocentEDU. And so before I use DocentEDU with it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this doc. The thing that's great about publishing Google Docs is that means you don't have to worry about share settings or anything like that, or you know, edit rights. And so you click on File and then Publish to Web. I'm going to publish that. Yes, I want to. And I'm going to copy this link and in a new tab, simply paste that in. And here's a published Google Doc. And any changes that I make on the doc are going to update. Usually going to take up to 5 minutes, but those changes on this Google Doc are going to also then show up on this published one. I'm going to go ahead and click the extension. And just bam. Now, like, you're going through and you're making those changes. You can view those student annotations, a lot of really exciting things. And down here, they've got, or no, it was on one of the other ones, on ReadWorks. They've got questions that go along with their text as well. So I could then take those questions and now start using those in here. And since they talk about a timeline down there at the bottom, I'm going to head back over to docentedu.com and kind of highlight a couple of things on our homepage that we've got. We've got tools to embed, text sources, and accessibility. And so you could then, you know, so if you find timelines other places where you want to create a timeline, go through here and the different tools you can use for creating timelines. And these are all different tools that you can embed into your docents. And so Desmos is an interactive graphing calculator that students can use. There's a lot of different options. It's really exciting. You can just kind of pick the ones that work best for you. Don't go crazy on it. Just simply create a docent with a few questions and maybe embed one thing if it's going to fit with the lesson, and kind of start from there. The other things that we've got under resources then is our text sources. So we went over a couple. We've got a webinar just about text sources from about a week ago. Take a look at that recording on our YouTube channel. But you can find a lot more that's on there. And again, DocentEDU works with almost any website that's out there. And for accessibility, DocentEDU works great with a lot of the other tools that are out there, like Speakit and Chromevox. But it's a great way to be able to differentiate your text for your students and kind of scaffold it and chunk up that text in different ways. And that is how you use DocentEDU to create interactive online lessons. They're great with close reading and formative assessments. All right, so we are at the end here. I'm going to come back and take a look if there were any questions people posted. Not right now. All right, so thank you very much, everybody. That's how you use DocentEDU for creating close reading lessons, formative assessments, and turning the internet into your lesson as you get rid of those worksheets and books.